I've been a coach for over 15 years, and every year, like, I have like my new thing that I want to learn about, right? And so Psyche-K is something that's come into my life over the last like several years. And I do a lot of other things. I do rational emotive therapy and gestalt therapy, person-centered therapy, like all kinds of different things, right? Breath work, yoga, meditation. And short answer to your question, yes, Psyche-K is just another tool, like similar to EMDR, similar to hypnosis, similar to all of these things. Now, I will personally attest to this working. And I will say that to you coming from a person who is always skeptical about things until I test it myself and I see what's really happening and why it's happening. I've also seen it not work. And I'm going to kind of share like why it would work and why it would not work for certain things. Okay. So for example, I've always disliked celery juice. This is a really super simple example, right? And then I started having some gut health issues, and it became clear to me that I needed to start drinking celery juice. And I was like, oh, like that sounds gross. I don't want to drink that. And so I did what's called a balance in Psyche-K, right? So it's where you're going in and you're changing a belief system. Now, I was able to actually change myself liking celery juice. So that's a pretty big deal to me because I'm 45, never liked celery juice, never liked it, right? Immediately gross, like just the thought of it was gross. And I was like, wow, something is significantly different. Okay. Now, I don't have any trauma around celery juice. I wasn't like force fed it as a child, or, mean things didn't happen to me around celery juice, right? So it's a relatively simple, singular thing to just go in and be like, wow, I want to make this shift, right? And I was also open to that change. I wanted that change. Right. So these are two really important key components in anything working, whether it's Psyche-K, EMDR, hypnosis, any of those things that get you into kind of an altered state of consciousness, into the subconscious, which is actually how you get the thing to work. Right. The client shows up and they want to work with me and they're like, oh, I want to work on my money story. I'm like, great. So I'll usually like let them know that this is something that will probably take a series of sessions, to be honest. The reason why is like, so let's just say we've got random object. Okay. So let's just say this is the money issue, like the little root nugget of your money issue in the subconscious, right? And let's say when you were 5, your dad came in and said the thoughts, so there's a little spoke coming off here. When you were 11, like some other thing like showed up, right? And so all of those things are connected. And so if you're really going to do a thorough job of actually shifting and changing that belief system, you would need to balance for every different thing that is connected to that belief for it to actually really change. But it can change. It does change if you are ready, you're willing, you want it to, and you're willing to do the work. And sometimes it can be super simple. Sometimes it can be like a one-time deal in your situation, and it just all kind of just like magically like goes into alignment. But most of the time, for most people, things to do with self-worth, things to do with money, things to do with romantic relationships, any of the big things that people find themselves repeating those patterns. There's a reason why those patterns keep getting repeated. It's because it's not usually going to be like a one-time fix, because you've been feeding that pattern for decades. The subconscious and the conscious mind need to get in alignment. And so if you ever get a Psyche-K session with someone and they're doing it properly, there's at the end of it, they will always encourage you to take an action step. And that action step is essentially being like, okay, we just did all of this internal work. We just, helped you get into an altered state of consciousness where ideally your system is now ready. It's ready to bring in like a new belief system. And you have to anchor it. So it's different than, it's like if I had balance for celery juice and then I didn't actually ever try to drink celery juice, then what's the point, Or if I decide, oh, I'm going to start exercising all the time and I do a balance for that, but I don't actually go to the gym, like it's there's got to be some follow through with it. It's not just like this. The belief can change, but you have to anchor it. You have to like bring it into the actual, move it from the subconscious to the conscious and have those guys work together. I mean, I think like money and love and worth are they're the top three things that people constantly have issues with, so yes, I've certainly worked with people on money. I work with myself on all of those things all the time. I'm not your typical Psyche-K person. If someone contacts me and they want a Psyche-K session, then and they're clear that like that's what they want, then I will frame that for them and only make the session a Psyche-K session. But for me personally, it's just another tool like in my toolbox that I use with people because it's not always the best one. Sometimes there's another one that's actually a better fit for that particular moment in that particular situation with somebody. They're like, I want a Psyche-K session. I only do a Psyche-K session. If someone's coming to me and they're like, I want a coaching session from Olivia, then you get like all of the things that like I know how to do, so I kind of vet the process a little bit like before I begin and just get really clear on what that person's wanting. Yeah. And 95% of what's going on with all of us is in the subconscious. And that's a very humbling statistic. It's incredible how much stuff is in there. That's what I'm saying. It's like just really being like, wow, thought I dealt with that. Wow, that's in there. And that's connected to this thing. And I had no clue. And and so the different types of therapy and the different types of psychology modalities I use at the beginning of the session to help the person get to a deeper place of awareness so that we can balance for the deepest thing possible that they're ready to do. Like the people that end up like gravitating towards me specifically, they're just energetically, they're wanting something that's it's a little bit of at a deeper level than that. Otherwise they probably would have energetically been, attracted to a different person. Even though I do spend a significant amount of time in my sessions, like helping people with that, like, let's dig a little bit. How'd you get here? Right. Is that Psyche is less, and it's less interested in dealing with the past and much more interested in what do you want to create in the future. Be like, yeah, there's tons of bullshit like belief stuff in all of us. Like, what do you want to create instead? What is, let's focus on the moving forward part. Some of it does go backwards and dealing with some trauma, but the essence of it is to move forward. Whereas a lot of traditional psychology, it's just like they just keep you in the past. And I personally believe in like, let's go back there. There's some information, and sometimes things that need some attention and some healing with the goal of moving forward. Look at everything that you're sharing with me and know that they're beliefs, they're stories, and you can change those, all of them, so I do have to go. Sure. But just for you to sit with, it's like we think these things are facts and that they're ruling our lives, but they're actually just beliefs, you know, and that's actually really kind of the core of everything we've been talking about.